credentials?
I went to my marriage and family therapy program at Seattle Pacific University.
Okay. And how did you decide to become a marriage and family therapist?
Well, I've always really enjoyed families, getting to know other families, and learning about families. And I think my whole life, when I learned about the marriage and family therapy program, it made sense to me because it treats individuals within the context of a family, which is something that each and every one of us has. And so it really fits with my own values and perspective on change and seeing people within a context and working with the various systems in their lives, their schools, their families, their healthcare, their spirituality.
And how did you get so interested in divorce as a specific issue in the family?
Well, working with kids, I've seen a lot of children whose families are going through divorce, and we know it's very common for families to get divorced, but that doesn't mean that it's easy for kids to go through. And even though it is more and more culturally acceptable, there's still not a lot of places for kids to go and talk about what they're going through and feel safe.
Why do you think there are few resources for kids, whereas parents typically have fairly wide access and understanding of therapy options, social workers, and even health plans provide some benefits for the parents, but there doesn't seem to be as an equal amount of awareness or accessibility for kids who are in that situation?
Well, kids, I think, often see themselves as being different, even though a lot of their peers are from divorced families. They feel like they're different than other people, and so oftentimes it's embarrassing to talk about. Many kids are secretive about what they're going through. They don't know how to explain it to their peers, to their teachers. It can be very confusing for them. So I think for us to really reach out to them and normalize their experience and validate their feelings is very important.
So tell me did you come up with the concept of the support group for kids? And how did you come up with the clever title? What do you call it?
The Banana Splits.
Banana Splits.
I was trying to think of a way to engage the kids to make it a fun place for them to come, because it really is going to be a fun group. We're going to do lots of fun activities and games. And so at the end of the group, there's a party to celebrate all the work they've done. That's with the kids and their parents, where they get to eat banana splits and just reflect on all the progress they've made throughout the group.
Tell me how long the support group lasts, how long is each session, and sort of how is it structured?
So it's an 8-week group. We'll be meeting on a weekly basis for an hour and a half after school. And like I said, in the end, it's a party with the parents and the kids. And then throughout the 8-week session, I will be in contact with parents and would like to spend time talking with them about how their child is doing, any concerns they have, or any progress they're seeing. So I can really tailor the group based on each child's individual needs.
Can you go into more detail about the kind of games that the kids will be playing?
Well, I think starting the group, we're going to do a lot of psychoeducation about divorce and about how kids react and about custody issues, because all those issues are very confusing for kids. So I think it's really helpful to be able to explain it to them and define those words for them in a fun way. So I do a lot of psychoeducational games. And also a huge part of the group is for the kids to be able to connect with their peers who are going through similar situation. So a lot of the group is finding ways for the kids to play with each other and get to know each other, so they can get that support and validation from peers their age.
Do you find that kids take to that pretty quickly in terms of opening up to kids that they may not know?
I think some kids really do feel alone, and when they can come and they can meet other kids that have similar situations, and some kids it's easier for them to open up than others. So when they hear other kids open up and say, I feel ashamed or I feel guilty, then it's easier for them to realize that they're not alone and that their feelings aren't weird. They're in fact very normal.
You had mentioned in our previous interview that you've noticed similarities between kids of divorced parents and people that go through the stages of grief.
Mm-hmm.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. Well, I think when families go through a divorce, I think it's very similar to grief because it's a loss. It's a loss of how the family was. It's a loss of an intact family, the ideal family.
Yeah.
And so many kids, not all, some kids do experience relief when their parents divorce,
Mm-hmm.
but many kids do experience a sense of loss, and they have to really process that loss. And it's comparable to the grief stages that were identified by Kubler-Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Often kids are in denial. They think that their parents will get back together. Often kids are angry that their parents are getting divorced. And a lot of times kids will fantasize about their parents getting back together and even try to play matchmaker or go in between their parents to try to get them back together.
Yeah.
Some kids also try to get better grades or say, I'll behave really well. I promise I won't get in trouble anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That way you'll get back together.
Now, some of the characteristics you just mentioned are common in the age group that you're having this support group
Mm-hmm.
for, ages 8 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why you picked that age group? And do you see similar or different characteristics in that age group versus older or younger kids?
I think each age group reacts differently. And the reason I picked such a narrow age group is because they're in the same developmental level,
Mm-hmm.
and they often do have some of the same reactions to divorce. So the group is really going to focus on working with the kind of reactions that 8 to 10-year-olds would have, elementary age students.
Mm-hmm. Is divorce becoming a more or less common issue in society nowadays? Has there been a sort of a decrease in it, or has it plateaued a little bit?
I've seen mixed statistics. I've seen that it's on the rise. I've seen that it's going down, and that's, I think, one tough thing for parents when they're doing research on the web is you get a lot of mixed messages.
Mm-hmm.
So all I know is that what I see from my own practice is that there are many families that I see that have been through a divorce or are going through a divorce.
When you first encounter parents that are considering enrolling their child in a support group like yours, what is your orientation towards the parents, or what? Perhaps it's common that you're only dealing with one parent who is initiating this. How do you sort of deal with them and make them feel comfortable about the group that you're running?
Mm-hmm. Well, my goal is to get to know each and every family that comes to the group. So I do like to spend time talking with the parents on the phone, if not meeting them in person, so that they can get a feel for who I am and see some of the material or learn about some of the material that will be in the group. Because although there are similar reactions, each family is different. So it's very important for me to hear their story and assess to see if they have other needs other than the support group. They need more individual therapy or more resources from the community. So I like to see people, I like to hear the whole story.
Yeah. And for parents that want to get in touch with you and talk to you about the group, what's the best way to reach you?
Parents can call me. They can also email me. I think it's best, it's fine to start with an email, but I would like to speak with the parents before the kids start the group and get a feel for where they are in their process.
And the parents basically drop the kids off. They don't participate in the group, do they?
No, the parents will not participate in the hour-and-a-half session. There will be a time in the beginning briefly where I will explain to the parents what we'll be doing. And in the end, I'm planning on giving handouts to the parents that go over the group and give them some stuff to work on that week.
Okay. Great. Anything else you want to mention that we didn't cover?
I don't think so. We're kind of playing around with the idea of another therapist doing an adult group for the parents.
Sort of a partner.
So that might be something that we'll be developing soon.
And how many kids do you imagine, or do you hope to have in each group? What's an ideal number for you?
A minimum of